Holland, it's fantastic to see you here. How are you enjoying it so far in the UK?
Well, right now we're in, I believe, the oldest moated house in the UK called Newhall. So we're on cloud nine considering we live in, construction that was built 3 years ago in the States.
Yeah, a little bit different, hey?
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely phenomenal. So we're having quite a time.
Now, it's great to hear that. Now, of course, season 4 of Teen Wolf is going on as we speak. Lots and lots of excitement, of course, as there always is with Teen Wolf's new season. How did it compare shooting this one to season 3?
Well, we have quite a different cast this season. So there is a bit of I call it Saved by the Bell new class going on this season. I also like that the villains, there's quite a few of them this season, and in the past there's been more of quite a little few side bits that lead up to one sort of supervillain, and in this season it's not quite the case. There's more developed side plots going on than usual. So there's one villain in particular that has no mouth called the Mute that is my personal favorite because he's so scary.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What is it you like about him in particular?
It's just the fact that he terrorizes families in the night, and that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is not so much being taken over by a mummy in my head or a werewolf, but more the practical fears which this villain has.
Ooh, and you also got the Benefactor as well, haven't you?
We do. That's I would probably say the biggest villain of this season, but you meet quite a few along the way to get to Candyland, so to speak. Yeah.
We actually spoke to Joe Gatz earlier this year. He's fantastic, isn't he? What's it like working with him?
He's fun. I mean, I can't tell you if I had a lot of scenes with him or not, which villains I have scenes with and I don't. But, all of our guest cast that comes on Teen Wolf is quite special, and we're honestly just lucky to have them because I don't know why they would, they deserve their leading roles themselves. So I am just so grateful that we have such a great supporting cast.
Now, I've got a few questions as well as my own from our friends and fans on the internet. And Struck by Stiles asked me to ask you, what's the toughest thing that you've done on Teen Wolf so far?
I would say the screaming. And Lydia is always quite dramatic. She has pretty intense emotional scenes. And so as an actor, you go from laughing about weird-looking hot dogs that are at Crafty to, very intense scenes that you hone sort of the art of switching back and forth mentally. And so I would say that's probably the biggest obstacle that I've overcome in Teen Wolf is it's really a walk in the park now because I've been doing it for 4 years.
Now, how's the banshiness going so far this season for you?
There is a lot of screaming, but not necessarily from me. It's the one clue I can give.
Intriguing. I like it. If you could give Lydia any advice for this season or even the future, what would you say to her? You could take her aside and say, Lydia, really?
There's a bit of a family scrapbook in the making, or being discovered, I should say. And so I would just tell her to brace herself because you haven't seen a lot of Lydia's backstory yet, and this season we delve into that.
More excitement and intrigue. I love it. Now, which character, if you could spend any more screen time with, would you love to spend more screen time with?
It's always the same. It's Coach.
Aww.
I love Coach. Deaton's quite fun as well, Seth. I wish I could say in retrospect that Aiden and Lydia would have had more of a chemistry on screen. I mean, they hardly had a relationship. It wasn't really a relationship, in my opinion. But I would say, as far as who's on screen now, I would say Coach or Deaton.
And what about the opposite of that? What about facing off with someone? If you could face off with any character on the show, who would you like to go up against?
I would say a girl fight. I think that's fun, and not the pulling of the hair and the name calling kind of girl fight. I want a real fight. Yes, a kick-ass fight with real stunt coordinators, and potentially even stunt doubles. There was a really fun stunt I actually did get to do this season, though. So as I say, I actually got to meet the stunt coordinator because Lydia doesn't usually get to do that.
No, that's good. Well, that's good to hear. So how did you find doing that then?
It was amazing. I don't know if I can tell this what kind of stunt it was, but it involved pyrotechnics, and it was a big stunt. It was some wires. It was fun.
So you'd like more of that for future, please?
Oh, it was amazing. You put on a different thinking cap when you go into stunts on a set, and you can see why people like Tom Cruise really makes that his forte, because it's a different muscle you're using, no pun intended, than just traditional acting scenes. And so, if you do the first half of the day regular acting and then you're doing stunts the second half of the day, it's quite fun. It's just different. It's like going out for PE during school.
I love that comparison. If you could be any other character on the show, who would you like to be and why? And that comes from Teen Wolf Talk.
It's so boring. I always have the same answer as Coach. I think Coach is really funny. And I didn't grow up initially with PE teachers that were also, or gymnasium teachers. How would you say that in the UK?
Yeah, we say PE as well. Yeah,
PE? Yeah. As well as regular teachers, like a math teacher, English teacher. And so I only discovered that at like my last couple of years of high school when I switched schools. And so I think that's quite interesting that Coach has to, do the lacrosse thing as well as the cross country thing, as well as, I believe he's a math teacher. I think he's a math teacher.
Bit of everything, definitely. Now, we've had a question from O'Brosy, though, who was also known as Styles' hair, and they want to know Stydia or Stalia, and we want to know why and why not. Which one of those?
I think it's sort of pleading the fifth, where I'm in the bubble, so I can't really see outside of the bubble. So I have to leave that up to the fans. I mean, I would have a few reasons for both. And so I guess time will tell. I mean, I think, like I say, Stydia has history. Stalia, I think they have great chemistry. Lydia, of course, would stay Stydia. I think she always wants to win. But as an actor, I really don't have an opinion, because I'm inside of it. So I'm in the belly. I can't see what the belly looks like.
What do you think when you kind of see fans chatting, if you see them online or if they tweet you and stuff like that, and it's about those kind of issues?
I mean, I'm on that side of the coin, so everyone's like, Stydia forever, but I'm sure Charlie gets a lot of, screw Stydia, Stalia. So, we're really, off in left field of like fan fiction hybrids. So I think whatever the fans end up wanting. And there's also, of course, the aspect, just a tiny bit of aspect of what Jeff writes. Just a little bit. So I guess time will tell.
Now, if you could ship any other characters on the show, not involving Lydia, who would you ship?
Let's come up with a new one. Let's say, like, Coach and Kate Argent. So what would that be? Like,
that would be, oh my goodness.
What would that be? Coach and Cargent? Cogent? I don't know. Cogent.
I like it.
So we'll go ahead and, it could be JR or Kate.
I love it.
Cogent.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Now, what would you like to see happening for Lydia in future going forward?
More of what's already starting to happen in season 4. So you get to understand why she is the way she is. Why she is steadfastly stubborn and intelligent and a bit of a loner. She didn't have a lot of friends before Allison came along. Bit of an isolated girl. So I think understand the reasons why she's all of those things. And, she always, at the end of the day, what I love about Lydia, she always is selfish and narcissistic as she is, and delusional as she is. She always really does want to help a situation. And these have become a real friends. So I would say just more of that. I would say more backstory to understand who she is as a person.
Now, do you think we're going to see more of her wanting just to be with just one guy, or do you think she's going to continue her love him and leave him as she did in the past?
I would hope she's going to settle down soon. She's almost a senior in high school, guys. I mean, it's about time to put a ring on it. No, I mean, Holland, I will be single forever. But I think Lydia would be the type to probably housewife it pretty soon, But she'd always be the one that has it all kind of thing. She'd probably always work and, have her little Stepford wife child. And by the time she's 27 or something like that. I don't know.
If you could pair her off with anyone on the show, who'd you pair her off with?
what male would I pair off? I would probably say Stiles, just because I think their marriage would be quite fruitfully fun. It would just be always, it would never be boring.
Yeah, that's true, actually, isn't it? Definitely. Stiles and Lydia. Now, was it like working with those guys behind the scenes? Tyler, P and H, you got Dylan, you had Crystal, no longer with us, of course, Max and Charlie as well, so gone.
I mean, there's a different experience with all of them. I think with the core of our cast when we first started, Tyler and Dylan had just graduated high school. They were boys, and Crystal and I have gotten to see them really grow up. And so that's been really fun to watch their evolution. Colton's always a blast. I first looked at him and I was like, oh God, what is this pretty boy male about? And he is, oh my gosh, his personality does not match his looks. He is such a goofball and such an incredible human being, who's one of my very good friends to this day. Hoechlin and I have actually known each other for years, far before the show started. We were set up on a blind date years ago through our best friends. That did not work out well. Actually, I ended up that same night suggesting he date my friend. So he's always been sort of a brother-like relationship. And then, the twins, Max and Charlie, they leave, I've said this before, but they leave a wake wherever they go. They are the most just fascinating human beings. I've never met people, and this is going to sound so cliche coming from twins or about twins, but they are so alike but different, but alike but different. It's hilarious to watch their dichotomy, but they're also the rapport together. It's just, that's never boring. But yeah, I would say the twins make quite the impression on you. And yeah, I mean, we're all really good friends. I mean, Crystal and I, we have a lot in common of what kind of clothes we like and what kind of movies we like and how we see the world. And we have a very honest relationship with each other, which is what I appreciate with Crystal. And it's honestly sometimes hard to find that with actresses. And I don't know why. I went to an all-girls school for 11 years, so it was a new thing for me to be like, why aren't there all the girls' friends? That was different for me. And so to find Crystal in this business is really a blessing. That, you have somebody that's almost like a sister-like relationship that even if you don't talk for a little while, you come back together and it's like you haven't left. And so yeah, we're all very good friends. That was like the whole lineage down the line of all the relationships.
So what it's been like losing Crystal from the show then, going forward?
It's been hard. Of course it's been hard. I'm happy for her because she's moving on to other projects. And, Crystal and I are pretty much common knowledge at this point that we're a little bit older than the boys. I'm 5 years older than the boys. So we're discovering life different. We're in our late 20s. And so playing 16, 17 isn't quite as interesting as it used to be for us. We've sort of finished that portion of our lives. And so, I think she wanted to move on to other projects where she could be emotionally and professionally satisfied with the kind of character she was playing. But she had a blast playing Allison. It's just a job that you can never recreate. So we miss her.
I hope that doesn't mean we're going to lose you as well.
I don't know. No, I love Teen Wolf. I absolutely love Teen Wolf. But you never know on this show. It gets crazy.
Yeah, I know. It does get crazy. Crazy in a good way, though. You've also lost Daniel Sharman as well. Left last season. But what's it been like saying goodbye to him? But also, he didn't die, unlike Crystal's character, did he? So he could return, I guess.
You never know with Daniel. I didn't mention Daniel earlier, but Daniel's a very good friend of mine. And we're all really are really good friends off screen. And so he's a little wildcat. He's so much fun. He's crazy. But I love watching his craziness. And I see him so much off screen that it doesn't feel like he left. So I'm like, oh yeah, Dan, you're not on the show anymore. That's so weird. He's like, yeah, I'm on another job now. I go to Atlanta. And so we get to see him quite a bit. So we actually don't miss him too much.
And of course, you also had a visit, not that in the distant future, in the distant past, I should say, from Colton recently, didn't you? You had a visit from Colton Haynes on set, yeah, and he was tweeting and the photos and stuff and saying, "Hey, what's going on here on Teen Wolf? I'm back."
It's so funny because I forget that people see those things. Like I'm like, oh yeah, we Instagrammed it, and so he. We were talking one day. He's been out of town for like 5 straight months, and I think he's been in town like 10 days in Los Angeles since January. And he was in town for a few days, and I went and hung out with him till like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh crap, I have work at like 6:30. I got 2 hours of sleep. Slept on his couch and went right back to work because he lives pretty close to where I shoot. And so he thought, oh, I'll just drop by. It was that cavalier. It was nothing. Don't read into it, guys. There's nothing to it. He literally was just down the street from set and thought, I'm in town. I love seeing Holland. I want to see everybody else. And he just dropped by.
Of course, it got everyone in a tears, didn't it? What are the chances Colton's going to return? So, of course, we've got to ask you, even though what you've just said, what are the chances Colton will return?
I think it's 0. He will return to set to visit, I'm sure. But that's how nice it is. I mean, Daniel comes to set. Colton comes to set. I'm sure at some point Crystal will come to set. It's really a family, and it's funny what takes place off screen. It's just our life, so yeah.
And Team Wolf Levy wanted me to ask you, how much do the Team Wolf cast hang out, and what about the old and new cast? You guys still hang out as well?
Right. That's so funny. One of our executive producers that worked at MTV had the last name of Levy. He was actually who cast me. He was like the deciding factor. He's like, okay, let's go with that girl. So I like that screen name. Yeah, I mean, the new cast is great. I've known Shelly before we started the show, or she was on the show as well, through another friend of ours, another girl I know. And then Arden I did not know her before. So it's been great. It's more of a professional set now because we grew up together initially, but all of the actors are lovely to work with.
And what do you get up to between takes? Because I remember when we spoke to Colton last year, we were chatting a little bit about, because I've obviously left Team Wolf by then, the pranks and things that you guys used to get up to.
There's not as many pranks anymore. No, there was one during the finale this year that someone hid in someone's trailer or something like that. But, having Jill Wagner back on set is a lot of fun. She is a blast to be around. And so she actually kind of keeps things fresh and fun, and that's always a joy. But no, it's very professional now. We're almost like a regular show now, because prior it was definitely not a regular show. I mean, the things that Dylan and Tyler, I think, say it still a little bit. We'll get into very interesting conversations right before they roll, so their mics are on. And oh boy, it's like 18-year-old boy conversation for the world to hear. And I think people that visit set are like, what is going on? Action, and it's right into the scene. And so it's comical, it's fun. But since the inception of the show, it's been a little bit more professional.
Now, we talked about Colton, of course, and he's left for Arrow, a big superhero TV show, which made me kind of wonder, would you like to be involved in like a big TV or movie superhero franchise like that? Because there's so many of them now. There's loads on TV, lots more to come as well, and loads in the movies as well.
I mean, I think if the story was there for me, I like movies that have absolutely no action as far as what I genuinely like. But as far as what I want to work on, I think that if the story was there, which you have people like Mark Webb and Zack Snyder who are putting more story-based superhero plot lines into these big studio films. So I really enjoy that. I think hiring people like Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, who are not your archetypes that would usually scream superhero, is a good move. I think that it's great that they're accessible, intelligent, aware human beings playing those kind of roles. A little bit reminiscent of, I think, Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. So I would love to be a part of a franchise like that, of course. I mean, any actor who's going to receive that sort of paycheck is like, I'll pass, thanks, guys. But I do like that they've put sort of the Spider-Man franchise on its head and made it this. To me, I haven't seen the current Spider-Man, but the last Spider-Man movie was almost reminiscent of like this little indie film, and they had such an intimate rapport with each other in the midst of this big action-packed world, and I hadn't seen that before, that barometer before, and so that was nice.
Yeah, it was interesting you mentioned Spider-Man actually, because Colton did say, didn't he? I think last year he retweeted someone who said that you would be a great MJ. What did you think about that? And obviously he thought you'd be great MJ as well.
Okay, so I get on Twitter, and I mean, it's not that I'm like one of those people that shuns Twitter. I think you have to adapt with the times, and you know, of course I have an Instagram and Twitter. I'm an actor. You have to have those things, but I don't get on it as much as I should. And I don't say that in like one of those anti-Hollywood ways. I just genuinely don't get on as much as I should. And I should get on it more. And so I was out of town part of that time for almost 3 weeks, because whenever we wrap, I usually take a vacation. And so that happened in the 3-week time period. And then I got home and was getting back into my swing of things. And it was right before Comic-Con. So at that point, it had almost been a month. And I got on Twitter. I was like, I need to say something about Comic-Con. And it was just like an explosion of this Mary Jane stuff. And I'm like, what is happening? Where did this start? And around that same time, it took a few weeks, but my publicist started calling me, my manager started calling me and asking if it was real. And then because they had media calling them, and I'm thinking, oh God, this is terrible. No, it's not real. And so at Comic-Con, they said that's a good place to say, because it was, you know, a few days out. They said, just say it's, you know, set the record straight. I said, I would be happy to. And so, it's funny how rumors get started. But I mean, Colton's always joked about all the redheaded parts in Ariel, Wonder Woman. In some, I know she's a brunette, and in some she's a redhead. So he's always just joking about redheaded parts, and that's where that came from, I think. And it's funny, I actually saw Mark Webb at a party during that rumor. But no, there's no truth to it. Absolutely none.
We love watching you in Teen Wolf. Long may it continue, and we look forward to seeing the rest of season 4. Thanks so much for talking to us today, Holland.
Thank you. I appreciate it.